You can't live with it. You can't live without it. We have to make sure that Randy G is part of the lightning round. Because if
Oh,
there's anybody who's more prepared for it, it is Randy G. Because I mean, let's face it, he is the guy who brings the storm and brings it every single time. Here we go, gentlemen. Let's get started here. First of all, is Joe Namath really a Hall of Famer? He is now an octogenarian, and there are people who will say that what he did in Super Bowl III deserves Super Bowl mention. But if you look at Joe Namath's numbers, he's not really a Hall of Famer. One game, one season. Randy G., you go first.
Joe Namath belongs up there. He is just an icon. What he did with on two legs that he could barely stand on. This guy had an arm. He was could
But
thread
as a
the
Hall of Famer for the career
yes.
or Hall of Famer for what he did in one game?
Put him in a Hall of Fame. He is the name. Put him in there.
Pete.
Hey, this goes back to our NBA argument. You can't compare different eras. I'm telling you, this is the same league. Terry Bradshaw's numbers aren't really but but he won 4 Super Bowls in 6 years.
Right.
Joe
Joe
Namath,
won
yeah,
one.
okay, his completion percentage is like 52 or 53%, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You look what the guy did. Forget about his year with the Rams, and we don't count that. You look at what he has done at his time, his body of work compared to a lot of other people.
Well, his body of work is not very good.
Well, there are a lot of, but look at that era, and look at a lot of players, and tell me we're in the Hall of Fame
Fair.
now. You say the same thing. He's not the only one. It's the era that he played in. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Look, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame if for no other reason than by laying out at the pool and going to Bachelor's 3 and basically working his way through every single female in Fort Lauderdale and South Florida during the Super Bowl. That in itself will make Joe Namath an all-time Hall of Famer. Next up on the lightning round, the ending of Succession. I don't know if both of you guys watch it. It was one of the greatest cop-outs in TV history. I was loving that series until I got to the last end of that series. And again, I don't know if you both watch it, but it was absolutely terrible. I left it walking away. I feel like I've been cheated.
Well, I watched the first season and haven't watched since. It's one, not that I didn't like it. It's one of those shows. I'm known as the TV guru where I work.
Yes, you are.
It's. Now
To
that
hear
say
you
that,
haven't watched it, I'm shocked, young man. I'm shocked.
Was it as bad as The Sopranos finished?
No, I thought The Sopranos was perfect.
I didn't.
I thought The Sopranos was absolutely perfect. This was not. Randy, did you watch the show at all?
I watched a little bit of it, but it never grabbed me. Perhaps the way it grabbed you. Yeah. Look, The Sopranos. I wanted that to go on. ... But Succession, it just didn't do
See,
it
I
for me.
probably got more into Succession because being somebody who's worked in network television, started network television before, and has been at that level, I'm hearing a lot of the inside baseball stuff that goes on here. And I know that the real life in television, network television, especially a certain television network, is as fucked up as they put it in that show. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. But I was totally, totally left wanting at the end of that show. Everybody else will probably say that I'm wrong, but I don't care. Here we go. Why is nobody talking about baseball right now, Pete?
What are you talking about? The A's have got 150 people a game. They beat the Braves in back-to-back games. They won 2 in a row. What are you talking about?
But I don't hear a lot of baseball right now. I mean, usually the NBA and the NHL has overwhelmed everybody with some great games. So I see baseball right now as being exceptionally boring.
What's there? Well, really? Is that just dawning on you now? And look, I think the new rules. I think the new rules have helped. Look, I'll give you an example. Yankees for a reason. When Judge hits a home run this year, they're 13-1. When he doesn't, they're under 500 as a team. How about that stat? I don't know. I think people are going to the games of teams that are in contention. Even Tampa Bay against the Dodgers, they had an unbelievable crowds, incredibly, in the regular season because they're the best team in baseball, top to bottom. And this year, they're starting to draw people. But it's just not. We don't take 2 calls a week on the Rays. Not 2. It's different.
That's my point. And there's one of the better teams in baseball.
If you're in New York, Boston, and LA, you're going to get some calls. You're going to get some feedback either way if you win, lose, whatever. But This has been going on forever. When's the last time that people started really talking about baseball before Memorial Day? I know we're just after that, but
Well, I don't
it's
think they're
not.
talking about baseball right now. And Randy, this is one of the reasons why. Well, two, the NBA Finals and the NBA playoffs have just been amazing to sit and watch. The
sure.
NHL playoffs have actually been exciting. Every single game that you play, they're watching what happens with the teams. I think baseball right now is overshadowed by the NBA and the NHL, which, if you go back in time, is like America's pastime. We're talking about basketball and hockey more. It's more exciting to watch than baseball. Baseball's boring right now.
I don't know. You ask my grandkids, and my grandsons go from about 10 to 17 years old. And this was me yesterday in a big wiffle ball game against one of my grandsons who can't get enough of baseball. I look, I'm a big New York Met fan. And from the start of the season, when Edwin Diaz went down at the World Baseball Classic, I said, "Oh my God, this is going to be a long season." And then of course Scherzer started this season, could barely throw.
You know they're going to break your heart again, don't you? You know that.
And Verlander gets hurt. I said it's going to be a long season, and it is. But I don't know. I'm loving baseball, and as the summer goes on and the pennant races heat up, I think baseball will too.
Randy, how many Mets games do you watch a week, start to finish, or at least a big chunk of them, start to finish?
Start to finish, one or two, but I'm always checking in because during the game the phone rings and I'm doing this and that, and then I'm talking to Eddie Berliner on the phone, and I go back and I watch. I'll put the game on and I'll start with the game and I usually end with the game.
See, that's sort of my point. I mean, if I'm watching baseball, it's the same thing. I'm doing something. I'm working on a computer. I'm editing a show. I'm putting something together. I'm on the phone with you, Pete, whatever. If the Bruins are playing hockey, or even just one of the playoff games is on right now, don't get away from me. Don't even get close. I'm not talking to you. I don't give a shit about anything else. I want to watch a game. I'm thrilled to watch that. Baseball, it just doesn't have it. But
until the playoffs.
Exactly. Until the playoffs.
Or a big season-ending series. I just am not. I have a hard time watching start to finish any of these games right now. I love all the new rule changes. It's definitely quicker. I think it helps, but it's still. We all know baseball's not America's pastime. It's NFL, college football, and then you can throw in the rest.
Okay, we'll do that. Here we go. For God's sake, Tom Brady, please go away. Stay retired. There's word out today that Brady might be thinking about coming back again. No, go away. Pete, I mean, you were there, we were there, I was there covering Brady. You covered him a lot longer than I did. He's a brilliant player, but holy shit, Tom, please go away.
Well, what's the source of this? Because he's with the Raiders now, and what's it going to come out and help Jimmy G? I mean, I think it's all nonsense. If he comes back to anything, which I'm not sure he's allowed to, I believe he can't be an owner and then go to the broadcast booth at the same time. I'm not sure of that 100%, but I don't think he can do it. He's not coming. He's not coming out of it. He's not coming back. I don't know where these things start, but it's not happening.
No, I got to see it because I'm looking it up while we're going here. And I caught it this morning, and it's a former player or it's somebody who's saying that Thomas. Look, it's all bullshit, of course. But it's the fact that, please, don't come back. I mean, we don't want you back, Tom. You're too freaking old at this point. Randy Gordon should be out there throwing footballs, for crying out loud.
You know what? When the fighters come back, I get pissed off. Because you know what? They're in their prime, in their early 30s. And now they're talking comebacks. And I'm not just talking the fighters. The Bradys and everything. You can't possibly be anywhere near as good as you were 10 years earlier or whatever. Tom, you've made the money. It's not like you need a game salary.
But here it is. Okay, I got it.
I want to remember you.
Troy Aikman told TMZ Sports that he could see a situation that includes Brady being the signal caller for the team he's going to be a part owner of. I don't want to speak for Tom. Thanks, Troy. But I wouldn't rule anything out, the Hall of Fame quarterback said to TMZ. So there it's coming from Troy Aikman.
I think it's bullshit. I think it's absolute nonsense. Good speculation by Troy, and
Troy's got to get his name out there somewhere in the offseason.
He's lost a step himself on the broadcast booth, so I'd worry about that.
And finally, in the lightning round here today, it is no longer important for a Canadian team to contend for a Stanley Cup. Canada, we're sorry, but we don't need you right now. Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, Edmonton. Would have been great to see Edmonton in the Cup, but isn't it fair to say right now, Pete, that with regard to hockey, this is an American sport right now. It is based here. This is where the best players and the best teams are. We don't need Canada to win a cup anymore for the NHL to succeed.
Well, that's been the case for a while. But as far as this being an American sport, I think there's a lot more Americans who are playing well in the sport. It's still probably more. You look at the percentages. There's still a lot more Canadians playing in the NHL, and you combine Canadians and other nationalities playing in the NHL. It's still probably more than Americans. But I don't care who. I've never cared who won. I've seen all Canadian finals, or I never worried about that stuff. I just worry about good hockey. But this is not a newsflash that hasn't been a Canadian team in the finals. Montreal got there in the bubble, to their credit, as an 8th seed a couple of years ago. That was an unbelievable run, even during the COVID time. But they lost
Right.
to Tampa Bay, and if it happens again, it happens. If it doesn't, I don't care.
Well, that's the whole thing in here, Randy. It's like everybody used to say that the National Hockey League can't succeed unless a Canadian team is contesting for the Stanley Cup. That's not true anymore. And it hasn't been true for a long time. So we got to really stop. You just put that out there.
No, but when I was in high school and all my buddies were following hockey and I wasn't really into it, but I'd go to Madison Square Garden, I'd watch the Rangers, and we always went to see the Montreal Canadiens, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I kind of grew up on that, and I'm used to that. I don't want them to go away. Let them stay.
No, not go away, but it's not important anymore. There were those who would say that for the NHL to succeed, they still need a Canadian team to contend for and win a Stanley Cup. That's over.
Well, that, of course, that's not true, because with social media and everything, and the way the NHL has totally expanded, and I think that Gary Bettman, who I got to know when I was commissioner in New York, I think that Gary Bettman has been just the commissioner's commissioner. He's done an amazing job with the NHL. I love it the way it is. Keep the Canadians or whatever, but U.S., we're here to stay.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. It's nice.
Canadians feel a little differently, but it is what it is.
Nothing against Canada. Please don't attack. Please don't attack. Please don't send weapons. Please don't send drones. It's okay. We still love you. Everything's good. We still like going up every now and then, getting some French food in Montreal. And Toronto's a beautiful city, and I love the Hockey Hall of Fame.